Hello, I want to talk about the Ogryn rework and why, for at least at my skill level, this is not something to be looking forward to. It doesn't address any of Ogryn's problems. So first, if you just want to skip to talking about the rework and changes, skip to about 3 minutes, 3:30-ish in the video. I'll also pin it in the top comment. Second off, here's the skill level that I'm at. I'll just come out and just tell you my stats. I played 10 games of high-intensity Shock Trooper Gauntlet before recording this, and I took 300 or less damage in every single game as Ogryn, and I dealt 900,000 to 1.2 million. So, Ogryn doesn't have a problem with damage. No amount of damage extra you add with the rework is going to entice me because I already one-shot everything up to a crusher with the pickaxe, and I one-shot everything special-wise with the kickback or a rock. Same with Horde Clear. So you cannot entice me with extra damage. I am not taking enough damage to go down even a single time. I played the 10 games, didn't go down once. So you cannot entice me with damage reduction. You just can't. Because if I am going to go down, it's because I'm in a situation where no amount of damage reduction is going to save me. What I need is tools to not get put in that situation, not a flat reduction that will not do anything, even, with or without it. So at least at my skill level, because I'm just telling you my perspective here. You might have a different perspective, and that's fine. I'm glad this rework will be good for you. But just for me, this does nothing. So, okay. Ogryn, let's talk about his problems that the rework needs to address, and then let's talk about why it doesn't address any of them. Ogryn is a regular guy on a team full of superheroes. No class has any weakness. Zealot, Psyker, and Veteran, they don't have any weaknesses. They do everything at like peak efficiency, whereas Ogryn has actual weaknesses. Whether it be his attack speed or his movement speed or his something, he's got to play around cover. No other class has a single discernible weakness. Their builds iron out every weakness, and they just do everything. Second off, Ogryn only has one build. Look at this. When have you played something on Ogryn that wasn't Lugger that is any way different from this? You take kickback, you take pickaxe, maybe shield, and you take 99% of the same skills every single time. And you do that because the other options are fucking terrible. Gee, I wonder what's better, 50% damage resistance that's basically always active, or getting 100% toughness back, so 1 bar of toughness back right before I die. Gee, I wonder what's better. 20% movement speed on the class that needs movement speed the most, or blocking taunts an enemy. Hey, Fat Shark, I don't know if you need to be told this, but if I'm blocking a melee attack, guess what? I'm already being attacked. I don't need to taunt them. They're already aggroed onto me. And that doesn't work against gunshots, by the way, with the shield. So, like, it's just like, why? You make it... Ogryn has one build because Ogryn only has, like, 10 or so skills that even do anything. Every other skill effectively does nothing. So his movement speed keeps him out of the fight, makes it so he cannot maneuver around the threats and obstacles like the other classes does, and he has some kind of weakness, be it a lack of crowd control, or if you go for crowd control, lack of damage. And that's a lot of that comes from the fact that his nodes just don't provide him anything good. You want a prime example of this? Fucking look at Rock versus Knife. Rock is something you have to pull out, aim, charge up, throw. Knife is something that you get 3 times as many knives. They come back. They aren't on a timer. You just get them for killing things. So you get 3 times as many of them. They're way faster, and you just press the button and they happen way faster. And because of Uncanny Strike, they can even deal more damage even against armored targets. It has no weaknesses. Whereas Rock has several weaknesses. You got to put your guard down to pull it out. You need like 3 of them to kill a crusher. It's like, this is what I'm saying. So let's talk about the rework now, and let's talk about how the rework addresses nothing. This is nice, but 5% toughness damage reduction it's not winning any awards. This right here, this is sweet. This is sick. This is what actually, like, I'm looking forward to. This is the one change that will genuinely make Ogryn so much better. He's still going to be the worst class in the game by a country mile, but this single change makes him so much better. Dodging, knocking shit over. But here's the thing, right? Ogryn wouldn't need this if Ogryn wasn't as immobile as he is. This is putting a band-aid on a bullet wound. Hey, if Ogryn just had the maneuverability of every other class, then he could just be played like every other class. He wouldn't need this, though it is nice. But again, why wasn't it like this in the first place? This is the bare minimum. This is a core game mechanic. So you're telling me for 2 years straight, Ogryn just didn't have the ability to dodge effectively? Like, okay. All right, so Loyal Protector. Remove, yeah, I said this should have been a thing a long time ago, and increase the radius. So why this is not going to make Taunt any better. Why is this not going to make Taunt any better? Because what is the problem Taunt faces? You taunt the first pack of enemies, and then the next pack runs in, and they're untaunted, and you have a 45-second cooldown. Okay, how does this address that? When the next set of enemies spawn and run in, they don't benefit from this. And this doesn't stop gunners from shooting your teammates. So this doesn't make the Ogryn like a bulwark against gunners, and this doesn't work against the next set of enemies, and enemies spawn in waves of like 10 seconds on like Havoc. You'll go from one pack to the next pack. So how does this solve that problem? Oh, it doesn't. It doesn't do anything. Okay, so Taunt is basically unchanged is what I'm hearing. Bull Rush will now protect you from nets, and bullets. I don't know why it wasn't like this in the first place, but here's the problem, right? Okay, this is great. So you charge in, you knock down the melee enemies, then you're immune to bullets, and now you get into the gunners, and now you're fighting the gunners. Okay, so everything you just knocked down is now running up behind you, and those gunners are getting back up. They're going to start fighting you. So the specials that are spawning around you, you have to worry about. The gunners are getting back up to fight you, and the stuff you just trampled through is turning around to surround you. I mean, that sounds like a good. I mean, come on. In Havoc 40, that sounds like a perfect plan. What could go wrong? Oh, well, you know what? That wouldn't be a problem if Ogryn was as maneuverable as the other classes. It all comes down to his movement speed. Hey, if Ogryn could get in, start doing his stuff, and then he could just slide dodge his way out of that situation, like every other class in the game can, that would be great. But this change is just nice. But okay. Like, if you're taking advantage of this most of the time, it might just put you in a position where you get killed. Point Blank Barrage. Nerfed it to blah, 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 make room for a new talent. I don't care. But, by the way, Gunlugger was killed. Gunlugger was already a mediocre, like, B-tier build that did funny haha boss damage, but now they took that away. Gunlugger is literally just so much worse than a veteran. It is so much worse than just playing veteran now. All right. No Pain. Look at this. Should provide some good defense against the newly taunted enemies. Okay. But the Psyker can smite the enemies. The Veteran can knock them over with Shout or a Grenade. And Zealot can knock them over with Book, which gives everyone gold toughness. Just like Shout gives everyone gold toughness. So every other class, let's look at the 3 ultimates that crowd control in the other classes. Psyker, Venting Shriek, knocks all of them over, and applies enough of a dot to kill them by the time they get back into melee. Okay, so it provides damage, it provides more utility by extending your dots and raising the cap, and it provides crowd control by knocking them over. That's just better than taunting. It also goes through walls and will affect gunners because it has enough range. Okay, Shout knocks everything over in almost the same radius, which is the same as effectively taunting and stunning them. But it also gives everyone gold toughness, which fundamentally changes everything about the game. Okay, I would just rather you pick Veteran and Shout. Zealot makes you immortal. He gives you invincibility for like 10 seconds and suppresses all the gunners behind you. Okay, so Book gives everyone gold toughness and invincibility and can kill bosses by pushing them off the ledge and stop gunners. None of that Loyal Protector can do. Don't give me defense against the taunted enemies. Give me an ultimate that's as strong as the other class's ultimates, and then I won't need this. This is the problem. It's all band-aids. It's all band-aids. Don't give me a taunt. Give me fucking Shout from Veteran, you know? But replenish 25% toughness and an additional 0.5% toughness replenished each 1 second per enemy affected to a maximum of 10%. Okay, I mean, all right. This is cool. By the way, like, the other classes have better methods of getting toughness back. Again, do I need to point out, Veteran Shout just gives him all of his toughness back plus 50. So Shout is better as crowd control because it knocks everything over and stuns them. So it stops their actions instead of just targeting you. So it's a better stun. It's better crowd control. And it gives everyone on the team gold toughness. So it's better as a toughness restore, even without the gold toughness. It's a better toughness restore than Loyal Protector is for 2 points with this new node. And it gives the whole team that toughness restore, whereas this only gives it to you. This is delusional. It's delusional to think this is an improvement. Big Box of Hurt. Okay, this is nice. This is a nice improvement. Problem. So if I care about my grenades, why wouldn't I just play like Veteran, Zealot, or Psyker? So Veteran can generate like 100 grenades in a run. So he just straight up doesn't have to worry about it, and he could just throw a million more. Okay. Psyker doesn't have grenades. His blitzes run off a completely different resource. So again, he can use his grenades without ever running out. Okay. Zealot has throwing knives, which again never run out. Okay, are you seeing the problem here? The other three classes don't even have to think about how many blitzes they have because they just effectively have unlimited blitzes. So, Ogryn, and here's the thing, the box sucks. So, if you use the box as a stun, or I'm sorry, as a sniping tool, then you don't get its secondary effect of an AoE clear. If you use it as an AoE clear, you don't get its effect as a sniping tool. So, box is trying to do everything, and in doing so, it fails at being like really good at anything. It's not as good at clearing crowds as the bomb, and it's not as good at dealing with specials as the rock. Why wouldn't you just pick one of those two? Big friendly rock should make it more reactive and incentivize weaving it in between weapon attacks more often. Hey, this is cool, Fat Shark, but let me ask you something. What about throwing knives? Wield time. They have the wield time. Throwing knives don't have a wield time. They deal more damage than the rock. You can hold 3 times as many of them as the rock, and they restore faster than the rock. So why do I care if I can pull the rock out twice as fast when the comparable thing on the other class doesn't even have this downside? Chain time 0.6 seconds to 0.4 seconds. I don't care. Remember Zealot knives? He just presses blitz, 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 and he throws. Like, okay, dude, who cares? So the knife is just a direct upgrade to the rock, and it's a huge upgrade. If the rock worked like the knife, you just press the button, rock appears, then it would be so much better. That's what the rework should do. Make the rock on par with the throwing knife. Make it ignore armor, do like 2,700 damage to a crusher, give me like 20 of them, and make it restore on kill. You know, like there you go. That's how you make it comparable to a throwing knife. Okay, we got a new modifier for the rock. Oh boy, another tax node. Okay, for those with blah, blah, blah. Big Friendly Rock replenishes a charge if you hit an enemy weak spot or hit no enemies. 5 seconds cooldown. This is cool, but again, this is a band-aid. So, Zealot throwing knives, they already one-shot basically everything that isn't like a crusher. And you just get those knives back by killing them. So, this right here is effectively built into fucking throwing knives as is. So why does the Ogryn have to spend a point to make a tool that is the same thing but worse have some of the functionality of a better tool on another class? Why not just play the other class with the functionally identical but better statistically tool? Like, that's the problem. To make the box a greater crowd control option, plus 3 grenades. Okay, so I give up one of the best guns in the game, the kickback, so that I can take a special sniping gun, so I can now use my grenade for crowd control. Wait a second, the veteran gets like 100 grenades generated from his tree for free, and those grenades do damage, knock everything over, and apply a dot that can finish things off. Wait a second, why am I holding this box like a stupid fucking chud when I could just be doing that? This is the problem. So wait, you're telling me Ogryn has to pick up grenades? Okay, veteran grenades are arguably better than the box because they're faster, they're better at crowd control, and they're better at killing crowds, and they're better because you can throw more of them. Grenades have like this critical mass effect, where once you throw enough of them, they cover enough ground and do enough damage that everything in the room can't move and dies. And the box just can't do that. Suck my cock, Hank. I won. I won the argument. My talking to the actual coders was better than your years of insisting coherency is better. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for being toxic. I just had to get that jab in there. A few days of me talking to the coders was able to make this year-long debate of coherency just die. Okay, so yeah, they're acknowledging that coherency toughness is fucking terrible. Sure. Okay. 25% coherency replenishment. To 15% all toughness replenishment. Okay, that's nice. Again, it's just like, this is good, but okay, this isn't anything groundbreaking. It's just, this is how it should have worked in the first place. We removed plus 25% suppression node. Okay, good. And then plus 25% suppression to you. Why? This is a do nothing node. You will never take this. This will never do anything. Do I need to point out that veteran gets a suppression immunity node? So what, you're 25% more suppression resistant as Ogryn, but veteran just gets this for free. Like, veteran just gets a whole 100% immunity. Like, this is what I'm saying. Ogryn is just the other classes, but worse. All right, Keystone, heavy hitter. Too focused on heavy attacks? Yeah. 5% melee damage to 3% melee damage. Stacks from 5 to 8. Okay, cool. On heavy attack to on melee attack. Okay, cool. This is just how it should have worked. And heavy attacking grants 2 stacks. Okay, cool. They didn't... Basically, they made heavy hitter work with light attacks. Okay, that's not groundbreaking, but it's nice. The damage bonus from heavy hitter, by the way, was already applying to light attacks. It said 7.5% damage. Not melee damage, not heavy melee damage, just damage. It was already applying to everything else. So all this does is basically bake the functionality of one of the modifiers into the Keystone, which, okay, I mean, I'm not complaining, but it doesn't make the node better or worse. Changed 100% melee toughness of 5 stacks to 5% melee toughness per stack. This is nice. Ish. I'm still not gonna take it, but, like, okay. Like, it basically doesn't change, you know? It's a very slight buff to a node nobody took, and nobody took the node because 100% melee toughness just isn't that good. But whatever. And then you remove the wasted talent. Okay, cool. Heavy hitter also grants 1.5% toughness damage reduction for each stack. Great. Cool. Love it. So this ends up being about 10% toughness damage reduction. I'm not going to complain, but remember what I said about how I only take like 300 damage tops? How does someone at my skill level that isn't taking enough damage to go down, how do you entice me to take damage reduction? I'd rather just have tools that let me be more aggressive while also not taking damage. An additional choice of customization, blah, blah, blah. Heavy hitter also grants 15 cleave per stack. I don't care. First off, Ogryn has like really ridiculous cleave caps. I didn't go through the weapon changes, so I know some of them are changing. But like, again, pickaxe already has great cleave. I don't care. Take it or leave it. Okay, so what? I kill hordes in 4 attacks instead of 5 now. Okay, like what does this change? How does this help me with the problems we discussed earlier? How does this make me more valuable than the veteran next to me with a power sword who doesn't have to worry about cleave at all? How does this make me more... How does this help me deal with gunners and not get pinned down? Oh, it doesn't. Okay. How does this make me maneuver outside of the 3 trappers trying to get me? Oh, it doesn't. Heavy hitter grants 10% impact for each stack. If you're taking an impact node willingly in the year 2025, Lord have mercy on you. Feel no pain. Coherency toughness regeneration was simply not impactful enough. Dicks out for all the people taking that on their curios. 2.5% toughness replenished to changed to 2.5% all toughness replenished. This actually makes Feel No Pain substantially better. But again, how do you sell someone at my skill level on the idea of Feel No Pain when I can go play 10 games in a row and not get downed once without any of this, without even taking base Feel No Pain? So how do you sell me on taking damage reduction when I don't need it? That is the problem. Getting a small boost of 20% toughness once at 0 stacks felt like it was too little. Yeah, that was a fucking... yeah, too little, too late. Yeah, that's the... Again, Band-Aid. You're putting a Band-Aid over a bullet hole. Reaching 0 stacks to falling down or below 5 stacks, toughness replenished 20 to 50. Okay, but again, if I'm playing Havoc 40 and I'm taking enough damage continuously enough to go from 10 to 5 stacks of Feel No Pain, I'm probably getting shot and I'm probably dead. So, you know... Nice change, I guess, but this is still worthless F-tier garbage. 2.5% coherency replenishment changed to 2.5 all toughness replenishment. Again, nice. Hey, maybe with all these toughness replenish nodes, maybe now he'll start replenishing toughness at the same rate the other 3 classes do. Okay, but again, if I'm already not dying like ever with the current Ogryn, how does any of this help me? This doesn't let me do anything new. It just lets me take what? Go from taking 250 damage a run to taking 200? Thanks, I guess. Burst limiter override. None of this shit matters. Just put your hand over all of this because it doesn't fucking matter, because the only reason you were taking this got killed. They jammed it into the ground. They took away the 32 burn stacks, which means it just deals less DPS than Veteran or Gunpsyker, so there's no reason to ever take it. It's basically Fat Scout from TF2 now. But digress. Chance to proc 8% to 15%. I said it should have been 20%, but they're making it 15%. plus this. So I'll say this makes up for the missing 5%. Grants 2% range damage for 10 stacks, so 20% more range damage. This is pretty acceptable. This is actually a good change. I like how they can literally double this Keystone's effect and then make you deal 20% more damage, and it's still arguably not worth taking. It's just not the single worst thing in the fucking game. Okay, this got nerfed. Changed the reduction from 2 per 100 to blah, blah, blah. Okay, so this got nerfed. It's the exact same effect. Now it just applies for 4 seconds. So if you chain procs, it's less effective. That's all this does. This is a nerf, and this is a big fucking nerf to this. I don't understand why Lugger got nerfed so hard. This means it's going to take you realistically on average 25, 30-ish% longer to get your ultimate back, because you proc this and instead of getting 200% for 2 seconds, it's 4 seconds for 100, or it's 100% for 4 seconds. So it's the same exact effect. They just made it take you 50% longer, or I'm sorry, 100% longer to benefit from the effect. That's all they did. They just slowed it down. Which, again, that's still a nerf, but why? This build was already not good. And then they removed more burst limiter overrides. Yeah, okay. And then they added some new nodes. This node is good for the kickback. Lucky Bullet can be guaranteed. So it has a 10% chance to trigger after a killing melee attack, stacking 10 times. Okay, wait. Lucky Bullet has a 10% chance to trigger after a killing melee attack, stacking 10 times. This is good for the kickback, but can I introduce you to Weapon Specialist? Weapon Specialist basically does the same thing by reloading the weapon and guaranteeing you get a critical hit. So let me get this straight. This node right here is shit Weapon Specialist. Why would I take this when I could take a shotgun on a veteran, get a guaranteed critical, and never have to reload it? How are you going to interest me in taking the Ogryn's thing? Again, either nerf veteran or make this do something else. To double down on the hybrid combat playstyle, burst limiter override also grants 1.5% fire rate per stack. How the fuck does this double down on the hybrid combat style? If you're taking... Ogryn has single shot weapons for the hybrid playstyle. Single shot weapons don't care about fire rate. The kickback cares about reload speed, not fire rate. Same with the grenade gauntlet. Or I'm sorry, not the grenade gauntlet. The one grenade launcher. The G launcher, the China-like gun. Those are the two guns that are used for the hybrid playstyle. Neither of them care about fire rate. This actually buffs pure gunner Ogryn more than the hybrid. Like, this is the kind of thing that makes me think Fat Shark just doesn't play the game or understand they don't think before they speak at all. Because, let me get this straight. So, pure gunner weapons are the only ones that care about fire rate. So you're only taking this with a machine gun that is pure gunner and doesn't do the hybrid thing. But you're saying you're giving this for hybrids when it's a node that literally doesn't affect them at all. It's like, are you stupid or ignorant? Which one? I could forgive ignorance, but if this is just sheer stupidity, then yeah, no wonder Ogryn never gets fixed. 15% range damage to you and allies in Coherency on Lucky Bullet lasts 8 seconds. This is really good. This is actually really good. Like, straight up, this is what we need. We need more of this. I have absolutely no complaints with this. The 20% range damage and the 15% range damage to you and allies, this might actually make Gunlugger, like a hybrid Gunlugger style with the kickback, not terrible. Like, I could actually see a world where you use pickaxe, kickback, and you go for Lucky Bullet. Like, I can actually see that now, because that is a fuck ton of damage. Especially if this affects the dots from the Purge staff, this would be crazy. Okay. Now let's talk about the talent changes. Slam is terrible. Staggering, this is what I'm talking about. Ogryn just has all these problems that no one else does. New effect, staggering melee attacks replenish 5% stamina, 1 second cooldown. Why? First and foremost, Ogryn doesn't care about his stamina, like, at all. He has the most stamina bricks by default, so if he needs to block, he blocks better than everyone else by default. His stamina efficiency is so terrible that even if you take a +3 stamina curio and you put, like, all sprint efficiency on it, you go from being able to sprint with stamina from like 4 seconds up to, like, 7 seconds. So, like, why do you care if you replenish 5% stamina? Like, Ogryn doesn't use stamina like the other classes do. But here's the kicker, right? 1 second cooldown. So if you do one big attack, and it staggers like 10 guys, they made this 1 second cooldown so that this is only 1 proc per melee attack. Because melee attacks take longer than 1 second, so you proc this on the first guy you hit, you get this, it starts the cooldown, the attack ends, and the cooldown ends. So this can be read as melee attacks replenish 5% stamina. Who gives a fuck? You would never take that node on any build on any class ever. So this is still a dead talent. Furious, loosening up the theme of only using heavy attacks, heavy melee attack to melee attack. Hey, how does this change? Okay, but the problem isn't that Furious only works on heavy melees. Like, this is nice, sure, but the problem is, one, you don't want to take Furious at all, because Zealot has this exact same node. Zealot has a node where he gets 5% damage on his next melee attack for each enemy hit with his first. Furious is 2.5% damage gained on your next melee attack for every enemy hit by your first. Furious is just worse than the Zealot version, and you already don't take the Zealot version. Zealot has such many high quality nodes that Furious, but better, isn't taken. So why are you not buffing Furious? This is what I'm saying. Like a toddler could figure this out. The best defense, toughness on heavy melee attack, 20% to 15%. Okay. Now also replenishes 5% toughness on non-heavy melee attack. Okay, so let me get this straight. You took the restore toughness on heavy melees and made it so they now give 5% toughness on light attacks. Okay. What about Out for Blood? Out for Blood lets me do 1 melee attack, kill 5 enemies, get 25% toughness back. What about In Fire Reborn, or whatever that one Fire Warp Peril node is for the Psyker? He does 1 hit with the Force Greatsword and gets like 70% toughness back. Zealot gets 15% toughness back on dodging. Do you see what I'm saying? So you're telling me that now I get 5% toughness back once per hit with a light attack. Okay. You nerfed it for heavies and took the nerf. Why couldn't this just be heavy melee attacks give you 20% and light attacks give you 10%? Why couldn't that just be what this would? Because, by the way, even if it was still like that, this would still not be as good as the other classes' toughness restores. Just mathematically, it would still be restoring left toughness over a game. Like, this is an improvement. We took dog shit and made it human shit. Like, okay. Batter now applies 2 stacks of bleed on non-heavy melee attacks. Okay, good change. I have nothing to complain about. Softening up. Description change to specify that it only applies to melee. Previous description was wrong. Yeah, how was the previous description wrong for like fucking literally like 2 years almost? How do you let a critical error like that in the node for like 2 whole years? Like that's more embarrassing than anything else. Literally, you are just adding the word melee behind damage. And it took you 2 years for an intern to open up an INI file and add the word melee. Like, this is the kind of thing that should genuinely be embarrassing. Like, you shouldn't even put this in the patch notes. This should be a hidden patch note because you're not changing the node. You're just adding a single word to the node that critically alters how you understand and view the node. Again, this is the kind of thing that any other studio would be super embarrassed about and add in a stealth patch one day. They would recognize this mistake like an hour after the first patch that adds the mistake goes live. They would recognize it and they would just sheepishly correct it in the next stealth patch like a week later. But with Fat Shark, it's something that takes 2 whole fucking years to do. Okay, to make it a bonus you're more in control over by reducing the effectiveness to make it for a higher uptime. Okay, payback time. Damage 20 to 50% now triggers on successful dodge. This is now a usable node. But hey, remember what I said before? I already one-shot everything as Ogryn. Why do I care about 15% more damage? How does 15% more damage affect how does it affect me as the Ogryn? Okay, so I take the pickaxe, I do a heavy attack, charge it up with thrust, and I one-shot literally every single enemy in the game that is either a crusher or weaker or less tanky. 15% damage does not make me one-shot a bulwark or a boss or anything. So it takes the same number of hits to kill as it did before. So if I was one-shotting everything without this node, why would I ever want to take this node? so I can one-shot the things I'm one-shotting even harder. You know, I drop the nuke on the instead of dropping a nuke on a crying baby, I drop a fucking hydrogen bomb. Like, what difference does this make? Nothing. How does this help my weaknesses? Remember what I said at the start. How does this change address any weakness? Like, hey guys, myself and every other, like, actually good theory crafter, we've all pretty much agreed that guess what? There's no reason to really take this. Like, you can take it if you want, but because you're already one-shotting everything, why would you bother? Hail of Fire, rending from 30% to 15%. Now also grants 15% range damage. This is actually a buff. They say they talk about this like a nerf, but this is actually a buff. It's funny. They talk about nerfs like they're buffs, and they talk about buffs like they're nerfs. I don't really like the 30% rending was only good for the fire dot. Well, okay, I guess does the 15% range damage apply to the dot applied to the range damage? Because if it does, then this is a buff. If it doesn't, this is a huge nerf. Again, why are you doing this to Gunlugger? You're taking an already average build and making it garbage. This is the big change right here. Only apply stacks up to 16. None of this matters. None of it matters. Nobody will ever play Gunlugger ever again in any serious capacity. It is dead. You killed it. Here lies Gunlugger. The only reason you played Gunlugger was so you could eviscerate a boss in like 5 seconds. You can no longer do that. You don't recognize how big of a nerf this is. This is going to take away, legitimately, like 4 times, like 400% of Ogryn's damage for that build is going away with this one change. It's like suddenly as if a million voices cried out. Hard Knocks. Theme of Stagger. Old functionality removed. Enemies staggered by you take 15% more damage for 5 seconds. This is good. This is actually good. More stuff like this, please. If the rework was all changes like this is good because the whole team can benefit from it. This is reinstating some of that Bash Knight Kruber functionality. Like, this is really good. I like this. This is a great change. Though, there is a bit of a problem. There's a bit of a problem. Where's the node again? Where did you place this node? No, wait, seriously. Where the fuck did they place this? Oh, wait, no, this is, where is this? Where the fuck did you place Hard Knocks? Yeah, I'm gonna talk about this in a second, don't worry. Dude, where the fuck did they place this? The problem here, if I remember correctly, is placement. Right here, right here. Hard Knocks. And I'm just about to, don't worry, I'm about to say you can not take this if you want. And you can like grab this. There's a way to do it. Don't worry, we're gonna talk about this. But right here, this is a terrible position. I would love to take this, but you know what I don't love? Having to take like this. Because if I'm not using the heavy stubber, I don't ever want this. When would I ever want 20% weapon swap speed versus fucking allies and coherency taking damage? Like, this is gonna universally just be better than this most of the time. And then this is fucking terrible, so I have to take a dead... So I can either take this, which is sort of okay, this, which is really good, and this, which is amazing, or I could take this, which is terrible, this, which is terrible, this, which is really good, and this. So... no, I'm never gonna do that. Fuck off. But this is a good change. New effect, reduced movement speed penalty when charging heavy attacks. Oh, this node... So, fun fact, you could only get staggered by attacks from bosses. Or like, I don't even think a Crusher Overhead could stagger you. Yeah, I think it's literally just attacks from bosses that could stagger you before. Without this node. So, hey, this node finally does something. And you know what? It's actually okay. Maintaining speed while charging is decent for thrust. This is nice quality of life, but hey guys, this is how the Ogryn should just work. This should be a passive. Yeah, this should just be how the Ogryn works. He shouldn't have to spend skill points on this. This is nice, but again, let's consult the chart. Where am I getting the skill points for this? I don't care about damage reduction. So I'm taking like under 300 damage without this node, so I don't need this node. This node is a waste of points. So I get taxed here, and then boom. Okay, so basic quality of life that should just be built into the class, you're making me spend 2 points, which is almost 10% of my build, for basic quality of life that should just be how it works anyway. Bruiser got nerfed. 4% ability cooldown reduction instantly to 100% over 3 seconds. You know what's funny about this? Psychonetics Aura is 5% ability cooldown taken off for all 4 players. This is now been nerfed. This was 4% for 1 player, and it's getting nerfed. But 5% for 4 players isn't getting nerfed. How do you justify that? I want to ask the lead combat designer. Like, I want to ask him in his DMs. I want to say, how do you justify Bruiser existing and Psychonetics Aura existing? Psychonetics Aura is 1% more ability cooldown, even if it's just for the Psyker and he's only proccing it for himself like in true solo. It's still just better than Bruiser. But it also has the functionality of supporting the entire team. If this is good enough to get nerfed when it's giving you less cooldown and only for 1 player, then surely you understand that making the node 25% more effective by giving it that extra percent and letting it apply to 4 players is absolutely game-breaking, right? Surely, if this is strong enough to get nerfed, then the version of this that is just a million times better is good enough to get nerfed. But that's the other thing. Why does Psyker just have a better version of what Ogryn has? Peacemaker, update the reload requirement and hits, making it more reliable, blah, 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 blah. 25% for 5 seconds, down to 5% on your next reload. Hit requirement 5 to 3. Who cares? Nobody takes this as is. You already don't take this node. It's not good enough. So you're not going to take its nerf state. Yeah, hey, good job, retards. You nerfed Gunlugger into the fucking ground. Then you nerfed a node that supports an already nerfed build, which is a double nerf. Thanks for that. And you're doing that for a build that people already weren't playing. They dropped a nuke on a build people were already not playing. But whatever. Unstoppable momentum. Duration 2 to 3 seconds. Guys, this needs to be like 10 seconds. 20% movement speed for 3 seconds on range kill. I just want to put this into perspective. Let's say I kill something with the kickback to proc this, right? Then I have to reload. The reload takes like 1.5 seconds, which eats up 1.5 seconds of this buff. I can't sprint like while doing this. So what do you want from me? Like what do you actually want from me here? Do you want me to pretend like this is good? Here, I could do what people on Reddit or the LFG Discord do, where they're like, oh my god, guys, this is so cool. But, like, what do you actually want me to say? This doesn't solve the problem. The problem is Ogryn is too slow. Oh, this buff, Ogryn is too slow, and 5-second buffs aren't long enough to actually be usable. Massacre. Nobody cares because nobody's going to take it. So, here's the problem with Massacre. Ogryn's crit modifiers are lower than every other classes in the game. Again, for seemingly no reason. But still, they are. So you don't care if you crit with Ogryn. You just fucking don't. He doesn't have any crit chance support. So right here. Okay, crit chance 1% to 1.5%. Okay. You again, okay, I don't care. So what? It's now a 15% crit chance buff on a class that can only get a maximum of like 20% crit chance. Okay. Whatever. Don't care. Crunch is terrible. Because why would you take Crunch when Thrust exists? Now works similarly to the Thrust Blessing, granting bonus based on charge time. Oh, Thrust is already arguably, like, the best blessing in the entire game, if not one of them. So, like, this is just a miniature Thrust. Okay, so again. Without Crunch, I was already one-shotting most everything. Why would I take this? Why? This doesn't make me... all this is going to do is make me one-shot things harder. If I'm charging up a Thrust, I'm already one-shotting basically everything in the entire game with the pickaxe. Why on earth would I take Thrust 2 if Thrust 1 is enough? Why not save the skill points and put it towards something else? But I mean, this is a good change. It's just completely redundant. This is good for weapons that aren't the pickaxe, but weapons that aren't the pickaxe are so much fucking worse than the pickaxe that it makes me question why I should take them. On ally, getting toughness broken, gain 10%. This is terrible. It's building to fail. No one's ever going to take this. This is an out of the gate F tier node. Like, you just don't care. It's building to fail. Your allies aren't getting their toughness broken that often. And even if they are, why does this have a 30-second cooldown? Again, hey, if they put this node on Veteran or a Zealot, it wouldn't have a fucking cooldown. 10% strength is cool. 25% toughness damage reduction. Who gives a shit? It lasts for 10 seconds and it has a 30-second cooldown. Oh, so let me get this straight. Most of the mission, nobody's toughness is going to break. But when things start getting tough and the toughness does start breaking, it usually starts breaking rapidly. Which means this is going to do nothing for most of the mission. But then when it does do something, you need it to proc multiple times because whatever is making this proc is going to keep happening. So guess what? This could have been an okay node if it didn't have the cooldown, but the cooldown kills it. Non-starter, F tier garbage. No hurting friends. 2.5% strength on health damage taken by you or allies. 5 max stacks, last 10 seconds. And you get 15% toughness damage reduction. This is like D tier garbage. Like, health damage isn't that common. Once health damage starts, people usually die. They usually either take no health damage or a lot of health damage. And, like, 10 seconds is also not enough because people just don't take health damage this often. This node's, it's alright. Let's put it this way. It's really good for awful players. This is a node that rewards you for being bad at the game. If you're playing, like, Auric with randoms and you're an Ogryn that takes like 1,000 damage, this is going to be your best fucking friend. You're going to love this node. But for someone like me, why would I, like, why? Like, what's the point? I only took it in that example build just because I really didn't want to take the swap speed node. But honestly, they're both about the same level of shit. Focused Fighter, 4% damage resistance from melee attacks on successful melee attacks stacked 5 times. This would have been so good if it just said 4% damage resistance. If this worked against, if this helped me deal with gunners, I would love it. I would be singing the praises of this node. But again, guys, I only take like 270 damage in a run. How are you going to sell me on this if I'm already not taking enough damage to die? And, like, okay, like, how do you answer that question? And here's the thing. You could sell me on this if the damage resistance applied to gunners, so it gave me a way around them, but it doesn't, so it sucks. This is an F tier node. This sucks. Strongman, 10% damage resistance on a leader special kill. Last 5 seconds. 5 seconds is fucking nothing, for one. Second off, 10% damage is effectively fucking nothing. That takes 50 damage melees and takes them down to takes 5 damage off them. They go from 50 to 45 damage. Ooh. Gunshots go from like 20 damage to like 18 damage. Ooh, such a big change. 10% isn't enough to matter, for one, and two, if I'm already, without this damage resistance, only taking like 300 damage maximum, how are you gonna make me want to spend a skill point on damage resistance? You aren't, and you can't. That's the simple answer. Can't hit me again. 20% damage versus 20% damage resistance versus ranged. Hold up. Wait, we got something good here. For 2.5 seconds with a 4-second cooldown. Oh my god, why? Look, motherfucker. Zealot hits an enemy one time and gets like 5 seconds of universal 50% damage resistance. And he gets a charge that immediately gets him in the face of gunners, which makes them stop shooting. Zealot gets more damage resistance than this, that has significantly more uptime, that is working against every enemy instead of one specific enemy. Why does Ogryn have to choose between like 10% damage resistance against melee or 20% damage resistance versus gunner, both of which only have like 50% uptime, when Zealot just gets 50% toughness damage resistance versus everything all the time with no cooldown? Make it make sense. I know the argument in Fat Shark's internal team is going to be like, well, damage resistance is better than toughness damage resistance. Is it? Is it really? Damage resistance works exactly the same as toughness damage resistance until it starts affecting health. But if I'm taking health damage from gunners, I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm fucking shot to death, dude. I'm like a black guy in America. I just got fucking gunned down. 15 bullets in my chest by a cop. Like I don't need this. This could have been useful if it didn't have the cooldown. Why are you so fucking scared of making Ogryn not have any weaknesses? Because no other class in the game has weaknesses, and if you think they do, you just suck at the game. And that message is reserved not for the players, but for Fat Shark themselves. Keep shooting. 15% reload speed when reloading an empty clip. I would rather just get a faster reload by not reloading on an empty clip and ignoring this bonus. Hold on. I need to point this out. Hold on. I need to point this out because this pisses me off so bad. 25% reload speed if your weapon contains ammo. Did you know most weapons in Darktide have a longer reload if the weapon has no ammo? So you are encouraged by the base game mechanics to reload with at least one bullet in your magazine. That is what a good player will always make sure to do. So Veteran has a talent that gives you 25% reload speed for doing a faster base reload. So this encourages you to do a faster base reload and gives you a bigger bonus on top of a faster base reload. 15%, so a much lower bonus when reloading an extended reload. You would save 15% reload speed by just reloading with ammo. I get that this is probably for like the kickback, but again, let me just point out 25% versus 15%. Why the fuck does the Ogryn get a worse version of this? And then you have this over here, 30% reload speed on kill. If this is for the kickback, and like if this is for Ogryn's like grenade gauntlet style weapons that are slow shooting and don't have much ammo and reload all the time, why the fuck is this not just 30% on kill? 30% reload speed. You could make this 30% reload speed, Fat Shark. It's not going to do anything. People still probably won't take it. Dude, guys, 30% reload speed on kill isn't good enough to take in most builds on the gun class. So how the fuck is 15% reload speed good enough to take on a non-gun class? Answer the question. How is that possible? Strike true, 15% weak spot melee strength, or melee weak spot strength. Okay, here, we can do a quiz real quick to see who knows what they're talking about and who doesn't know what they're talking about. First, again, I just have to point out, Veteran gets 30% weak spot damage that affects his guns and his melee. Ogryn gets 15%, so half as much of a bonus, and it only affects one of his weapons, not both of them. Why? This is just so much worse than Precision Strikes. Precision Strikes is double this effect on both of your weapons. Ogryn gets half of this effect exclusive to one weapon. Why? 10% here. Let me show you. Let me show you something. Where is it? You see this right here? Right here. You see this? This is already notorious as one of the worst perks in the game. Now, I will give this perk some credit. There's like one attack on one weapon that meets like 2 breakpoints with this. So I can't say it is entirely useless, but it's basically entirely useless. This is just this. And then you consider, here's a double whammy. Ogryn has the lowest base weak spot modifiers in the game. So this node is a gigantic noob trap. If you're playing Ogryn with pickaxe and you do a headshot for 1,000 damage, this node will make you do a headshot for 1,000 and like 12 damage. This might be the new worst node in Darktide. Like, it's just fucking terrible. Melee damage on successful heavy melee attack. I hope I'm wrong about this. I hope we test this and it's actually something completely different. I hope the word strength means it just affects, it's not just this. But knowing Fact Shark, that's what it is. Come on. Beat them back. 15% melee damage on successful heavy attack. Hey, wasn't the goal of this rework to make Ogryn not pigeonholed to only doing heavy attacks? Okay, so first things first. Why? You immediately went back to the old fucking design philosophy. No, this is how incapable and incompetent Fat Shark is. You started off by decoupling Ogryn's nodes from heavy attacks. Then you added a new node and then immediately coupled it to only doing heavy attacks to get the effect. Why? This is running. This tells me that internally, this is a patch that Fat Shark made very quickly. They threw this together. How the fuck do you make it make sense? Oh, we want to make Ogryn not forced to do heavy attacks. By the way, this good node that we're adding that's new only activates when you do heavy attacks. The thing we literally just took away from every other node on his skill tree, except for this new one that we just added in the same patch. Did 2 people work on this? Did one person work on reworking the nodes and then one person worked on adding the new nodes? Because that's kind of what it feels like. Even then, I don't care. Again, guys, Ogryn's best melee weapon, and arguably the best melee weapon in the entire game, it already one-shots. It one-shots every trash mob. It one-shots every gunner. It one-shots ragers. It one-shots maulers. It one-shots crushers. How do I get this through your head? It one-shots everything in the game but bulwarks and bosses. So why explain to me right now, you person in the LFG Darktide Discord or on the Reddit that's celebrating these changes and you're saying this is so good. Okay. Why should I take this if I'm already one-shotting a crusher and below? Explain to me what value does this offer my build? Now, you might say, okay, but it's not for that weapon. My response is, every other weapon is so terrible, I'm never considering taking them. Okay, so wait, if we raise up, so let me get this straight. We all agree Ogryn is nowhere near as good as the other classes with his current best stuff. So if you're taking this stuff on his newly buffed, let's say his newly buffed weapons aren't as good as Pickaxe. Pickaxe Ogryn is still the best, which it's going to be, but still. So you're using a weapon worse than what he already has, even with the buffs, to take a node that sort of band-aids that melee to make it still not as good as what he can already use. And we agree what he can already use is nowhere near as good as what everyone else can use. How does this rework make it better? 15% damage resistance while above 75% stamina. This is actually pretty good. And this is good because it's damage resistance that works against everyone. Like, I forgot I'm not supposed to take this. This is actually wrong. This is, like, old. I probably deleted the thing that, like, has the actual... Hold on. Let me just... No, we'll save this for the end. We'll do it together. Because I had, like, 7 of these tabs open. This was going to be a much longer video originally. And I think I deleted the wrong tab. 2 stacks of brittleness on push. Hey, this is good. Like, this is okay. This is good. The problem, you put it right fucking here. Also, why does this say 4 stacks? The rework says 2 stacks. 30% corruption resistance. Get the fuck out of here. You gave up. You actually just gave up on this class. Do I need to explain why corruption resistance sucks? Your perfect blocks can block all melee attacks. On perfect block, gain 20% melee damage on the next attack. Okay, for one, this is really cool. I love this. This is my favorite node conceptually in the game. Problem. So why am I going to risk doing a perfect block when I could just, again, Ogryn already one-shots everything with an attack. He doesn't need more damage. No one is saying Ogryn doesn't deal enough damage. No one. There is no one saying that. There is not a single bit of fucking feedback Fat Shark has received that said, oh, you know, the class that already one-shots everything needs to one-shot everything even harder. No one said that, first off. And second off, if that was the problem with Ogryn, then how does 20% damage on a single attack fix that? This should be a buff that lasts for like 20 seconds, dude. You just parried a fucking crusher overhead. You know, like, this should be a timed buff, and the timer should be based on the damage that got perfect blocked. Like, if I block a crusher overhead, give me this damage bonus for, like, a minute. 60% sway reduction, no one gives a shit. 20% spread reduction, abysmal fucking dog shit. 15% recoil reduction, abysmal fucking dog shit. While bracing your ranged weapon, but lose stamina per second. Deadshot gives you 25% critical chance and 60% sway reduction. Deadshot is better than this in every way imaginable. Yet it is universally agreed upon by basically everyone that Deadshot is one of the worst nodes in the game. How did you make a worse version of Deadshot? And why are people celebrating it? Your explosions apply 1 stack of burn, increase to 2 stacks on close explosion. Max stacks 12. This is good. Problem, Ogryn's grenades already kill everything, and applying 1 or 2 stacks of burn isn't going to do anything. So this is only for like the grenade gauntlet, which will really appreciate this. This is nice. Like, I don't have much to say about this node. This is cool. Frenzied Blows. 2% melee attack speed on chained hit for 5 seconds. Stack 5 times. Hallelujah! Jesus Christ. This is an S tier node. This is God tier. This is amazing. This will help with a lot of Ogryn's problems, because God does he need attack speed. But wait a second. Why is this on successful heavy melee attack? This is such a sore thumb. This sticks out so fucking badly. This sticks out so goddamn badly. 2% range damage on melee kill. This is good. This is good. This is actually how you support the hybrid playstyle right here. Except also sort of not really. This node has a problem in its own right. Does the kickback really need extra damage like this? The kickback already one-shots most everything. Like, I'm not going to say this node is bad. It's just, again, it's just unnecessary. How does this help a hybrid Ogryn deal with gunners? Oh, it doesn't. Because damage wasn't the problem. Dedicated practice, this is okay. Like, it's nice for the kickback. Getting your gun out faster to shoot a disabler running in is nice. But it's nothing, like, crazy. It's not gold toughness. 15% melee damage and 7% melee attack speed for 6 seconds after emptying your clip. Hey, if this lasted, by the way, if this lasted for, like, 15 seconds, this would be good. As is, this is terrible. So you shoot your magazine, you shoot your clip, your kickback. You use the 20% swap speed to swap onto it. That still takes about half a second. Then you charge up an attack and let it go. That takes about another second and a half almost. Okay, so again, 6 seconds isn't enough. It's the same problem as the attack speed buff from Ogryn's charge ultimate. By the time you started to use this, you've already ran through like 20% of the buff's time. So you might get 2, maybe 3 melee attacks off with this. It's not bad. And it's a good node. I like the idea. It's just, it needs to last for like 10 or 12 seconds. 25% critical strike damage on a class that only gains like a 50% damage increase from critical strikes. You take this node and Ogryn's critical strikes still don't give him the same damage bonus as other classes' critical strikes. Thank you. Thank you, Fat Shark. So, let's review. This rework did not affect his speed. This rework did not affect his ability to engage with gunners. This rework did not give him gold toughness. This rework did not give him some kind of crazy crowd control. This rework did not address any of his problems. The only thing this rework did was give him more damage and a little bit of useful damage resistance. Okay, Ogryn doesn't need any of this. Attack speed is really good and will help some of his problems, and the changing from coherency toughness to all toughness restore will actually do quite a bit to help him. So overall, it's a buff. But Ogryn is going from an F tier class to a D tier class, while the other 3 classes are in S tier. How did this rework address his inability to deal with gunners? How did this address his inability to deal with, like, getting cornered? How did this address his inability? Ogryn still has every single problem that he had before this rework. Now, if you want a what will Ogryn's best build be, I think I have it pretty much all figured out. Steady grip. Best defense. You have to take this even though you don't want to. This, rock. I don't really think this is going to be all that good, if I'm being honest with you. Take it if you want. I'm not going to. I don't think, like, I just... You know, it's like, this is like a B or an A tier, like, it's whatever. Then we take this. Let me click on this, please. This is good. Then we take this. Then we probably also take this. We take this. We take this. This. Then we take this. And then we take this. Then because I think this is good. I think this is really good. You do 1 heavy attack, you just get free damage. This is good. I think this is okay, but it's just that. It's like, it's just okay. Then you take this. Then you take this. Then you take this, this. And you could take these 2 if you want them, but nah. Then you take this, then you take this, then you take this, this, and this. And that leaves us with how many points again? 1 point. And then where's the most impactful use of this 1 point? Oh yeah, wait, I forgot about batter. Fuck. No, you don't take this, and then you take batter. But if you aren't taking this, then you don't want to take this. So you kind of just get 1 point to play with here. Like, I guess you can take this. Yeah, no, this would be good. 15% damage on dodge. Or you could get rid of this, and then take, like, this, and you could do it like this. So something like this will either be the best, or it will be something like this will be the best. I think it's going to be this. And then I think you use the pickaxe and the kickback, and I think this is going to be Ogryn's new best build. But the point is, this is the exact same. Like, this is so much better than any other general way that you could build the class that, like, why would you ever stray from this? And by the way, we're still taking 90 fucking % the same nodes we used to take. You're only taking this for gunner. These two are just for gunner damage resistance, by the way. Oh, by the way, I want to point out, this is perfectly 25% damage resistance. Thank you for giving me feel no pain without actually needing to take feel no pain. Thanks for that. So now I can have heavy hitter and feel no pain at the same time. This rework is terrible. It didn't address any of his problems.